The Houston Texans go into this offseason without a coach, without a quarterback, and without an identity. It's like the Texans, what's our thing? Like, what are we gonna do and do really well? Because coming into this offseason, they had a lot of question marks, but we're gonna look how they solved almost every big thing they had to solve in one offseason. If you're new to our channel, we make videos for teams that don't get the love like they should from the national media. We are Detroit Lions fans, so we know all about that. Our main channel is Sports Talk Detroit, but we cover teams like the Texans that are going to be really good this year, have a lot of really good stories, but aren't getting covered like the national media. We'll get into 3 ways that the Texans got incredibly much better in this offseason thanks to 3 moves. That's what I was going to say. Basically, 3 moves that they really did. We'll get to the Will Anderson trade and how that was a good trade. It's easy to prove why that was such a good trade, but I want to start with the coach. First, you look at the coach. Remember, they had Bill O'Brien from 2014 to 2020. In that time, hey, some ups, some downs, but at the end of that, it's like, people wanted him to go. It was kind of hard. What do we do? And so you had a couple of years with Bill O'Brien that weren't great. Then you go through the Romeo Crennel, David Culley, Lovie Smith, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. Just there's no possible way that you can improve, really have a franchise that gets better and builds and has a sustained franchise when you're constantly firing your coach, obviously. So you go find DeMeco Ryans and you're like, okay, enough's enough. I actually liked the Lovie Smith firing and hate to see guys get fired, but it's like, okay, stop. Just stop what we're doing. Lovie Smith, no, get out of here. DeMeco Ryans has ties to the Texans, has been a successful coach, comes from a successful franchise, has an identity of good defense, fly around the football, going to be tough. We're just not going to let people push us around anymore. We have an identity. And being a Lions fan, we see the difference in what that means. Dan Campbell, same thing. This is what we're going to be. And if we fail doing it, then we fail. But this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do it each and every week. And that's what the Texans now have in DeMeco Ryans. Love that. The next thing is you look at, let me pull it up here real quick. You look at the depth chart and quarterback, CJ Stroud. So you have an opportunity to draft him. You make the right choice. Boom, quarterback done. He's just a quarterback that is just a no-brainer for the next 10 years. It's one of those, it's very hard to see him just fail, right? Like a Joe Burrow. He's not as good as Joe Burrow, but my point is Joe Burrow, the second he was drafted, is like, yeah, like 12 years, they're going to be good. Cincinnati Bengals are going to be good for the next 12 years. No question. They're going to be in the mix. And that's what you have with CJ Stroud. You're never going to be a bad, horrible team with him at your quarterback. So you have the quarterback, you have the coach, and then here's the next thing that I loved, and that was the Will Anderson Jr. trade. A lot of people dogged it, gave up a lot to go up and get Will Anderson Jr. And let me go to that real quick on what they actually gave up to get Will Anderson, and then I'm going to show you how it's not that big a deal. Okay, so the Texans dealt their first and third round picks to Arizona as part of the Will Anderson trade and a first rounder, but they still have a first rounder from a 22 trade with Cleveland, as well as the Browns' fourth rounder. So look at this. You can see, oh man, they gave up a lot. They gave up a first, a third, a first next year, all this stuff. But then if you look at the 2024 draft, very healthy. A 1, 2, 3, 2 4s, 5, and 2 7s. Perfect. If you come up here and you had no first, no second, and a third, and then you didn't have another pick to the fifth or something like that, then yeah, you'd be like, oh man, we can't be doing this. We need to build through the draft. And everybody's trying to do that, but it's hard and you want to acquire people, the whole thing. Texans are fine. They have a first, second, third, 2 4s. That's all day. And then fifth, sixth, and seventh, you're kind of taking a flyer, hoping that you can catch one. But man, if you've still got a nice bulk core to your draft, and I think that's what the Texans were looking for. So then you can go over here and just say, okay, we've got our coach, our quarterback, and our defensive end that we believe is going to be Myles Garrett or is going to be Bosa, or like you think you've got it. And if you do, great. If you don't, That's not good. But you believe that you did, so you like the guy, so you went up and got him. So I love in one offseason, you have an identity, you have a quarterback, you have a defensive cornerstone. You can now build off of that. Before, it's hard to build off of nothing when you keep firing coaches and your quarterback's weird and gets in trouble, and then he gets suspended. I mean, it's just like, come on. So the Texans are so much better off than they were just a couple years ago. Because remember, a couple years ago, you let me just go back to it. 2 years ago, you got David Culley as your head coach. Your quarterback suspended. It's just like, what are we doing? Like, what in the world are we doing? You finish 4-13. The Texans are a team that is going to be on the rise. Nobody's paying attention to them. They were a bad team last year, but I'm telling you, you could flip the switch and see a new identity. And that's, again, what the Detroit Lions have done for years. Bad. All of a sudden, you have a coach that's stuck on what we're going to do. We're going to do it well. You draft well. You got a quarterback, and boom. I mean, it's not like that easy, but it for the Texans, they made it look easy this offseason. Something very hard to do is to get a quarterback, get your coach, and get everything going. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. The Texans are on the rise. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody notices that they have the coach, the quarterback, and the defensive cornerstone. And really, by the way, we've looked at all the other areas for the Texans, and we really like it too. Tank Dell, a rookie that's going to do some good things. Nico Collins, projected to be a breakout player of the year. Robert Woods, steady. Offensive line, good. Defense, Will Anderson joins in here. Sheldon Rankins, love him. Stingley, hello. You've got your secondary. This is not a bad team. Now, the AFC is a good conference. So that is the downside, right? It's opposite for the Lions. The Lions are in the NFC, where you've got the Eagles, and then it's just kind of all these other good teams, 49ers, Cowboys, Lions, but you don't have 6 juggernauts in the AFC with the Bengals, with the Chiefs, with the Chargers, with the Bills, Dolphins. I mean, you could throw in just teams that are, who knows, like even the Dolphins. But in this division, let's go. So you've got an opportunity to be a good team. If you're a Texans fan, you're going to have fun on Sundays. And that's what, I don't say that's what's the most important thing, but it really is. For the Texans fans, you want to be in games, you want to be competitive, you want to have a chance, you want to see your young guys grow, and that is what you're going to have now. Before, it was like, what are we doing? We have no coach, we have no quarterback. This is fun. Been there, trust me. Been there as a Lions fan. You still watch, you still love it, but deep down, I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea, and I hate it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, we covered teams that don't get covered by the national media. Texans are one of our favorites because no one is paying attention to them. So let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see all of you on the next one.